Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take the information you share with us, articles, reports, all sorts of things, and we really dig in to pull out the core insights.
Yeah, the crucial facts, the bits that matter. It's about getting past the noise. Yeah.
Exactly. Think of us as guides, navigating the material you give us and highlighting what stands out based only on that source.
Purely on the source material provided, yes.
So today, our source is very specific. It's a Sky News article from Friday, May 23, 2025.
Okay.
And the main topic in this piece, recent trade threats reportedly made by Donald Trump.
Right. So our mission here, sticking just to this one article, is to really unpack the specifics. What are the threats?
Yeah.
What conditions are attached? And what were the immediate reactions reported right there in the source?
Yeah, building the picture just from what Sky News reported in this single document.
Precisely.
Okay, let's dive in then. The article, it seems, leads pretty strongly with a significant threat aimed at the European Union. What are the details reported there?
According to the report, yeah, it's a big one. A proposed 50% tariff on imports coming from the EU.
50%. Wow, that's substantial.
Definitely gets your attention.
And did the article mention a start date for this potential tariff?
It did. The proposed date was June 1st, 2025. So not far off from the article's publication date.
Okay, June 1st. And the article also said where this threat was made public.
Yes, it was reportedly posted on the Truth Social platform.
Now, the context here seems important, and the article apparently highlights this. The timing.
Absolutely. This wasn't just, out of the blue. The article notes it was issued just hours before a scheduled call.
A call between who?
Between the EU's trade chief, Maros Sefcovic, and his U.S. counterpart, Jameson Greer.
Ah, okay, so hours before that specific call. Seems deliberately timed based on the article's account.
Exactly. Sort of setting the stage, perhaps. And the article gives the stated reason for the threat, too.
Which was?
Trump's view, as reported in the article, was that the trade talks with the EU were simply going nowhere.
And does the article mention any sort of historical context? Any past comments?
It does recall a past accusation mentioned in the source that he's previously said the EU was created essentially to rip off the U.S.
Right, but here's where it gets really specific according to the article. There's a condition, isn't there? A way to avoid this 50% tariff.
Yes, and this is a key detail the article really flags. It quotes him saying, there is no tariff if the product is built or manufactured in the United States.
Okay, so the condition is tied directly, completely to where the product is made.
That's what the article reports. If it's made here, the tariff disappears. It's a very direct lever.
A very direct lever indeed. What was the EU Commission's reaction, according to the article, at that immediate point?
Well, when the article was written, their reported stance was basically no comment yet. They were waiting for that scheduled call to happen first.
Makes sense. Did the source draw any comparisons to how other countries have fared in trade dealings?
It did make a comparison, yeah. It noted the U.S. had done deals previously with the U.K. and China.
And the implication in the article was?
That those deals helped them sort of reduce their peak exposure to his trade war approach, something the article suggests the EU hadn't achieved in the same way.
And the article also flagged the potential downside if a threat like this 50% tariff were actually implemented.
Yes, it points out the obvious risk, really.
Yeah.
Retaliatory measures from Brussels. A trade spat escalating.
Right. So, okay, a major threat, a tight deadline reported, this manufacturing condition. The article then detailed the market reaction. How did Europe respond, according to Sky News?
The report says the reaction was immediate and pretty sharp. European stock markets were reportedly down significantly.
Across the board. Any specific examples given in the report?
Yes. It mentioned the FTSE 100 in London was down over 1.2%, but the falls were reportedly steeper on the continent.
Such as?
Germany's DAX and the French CAC 40 were both reported down over 2%. So, yeah, widespread concern reflected in the markets, according to the source.
And what about expectations for the U.S. markets? Did the article touch on that?
It did. It mentioned that U.S. stock market futures were showing similar percentage drops were expected when Wall Street opened later.
So the impact wasn't just contained to stocks, though. The article mentioned other markets.
That's right. It wasn't just equities. Brent crude oil, the oil benchmark, reportedly sank over 1%, down to $63 a barrel.
And the dollar.
The dollar also reportedly took a hit. The article sort of links this, saying the news intensified worries that were already there about U.S. government debt levels. maybe, the economic uncertainty factor.
And any other specific market points mentioned?
It noted the pound sterling was trading at levels last seen back in February 2022. Just a specific data point the report included.
Okay, so that covers the big EU threat and the reported market fallout. But the article didn't stop there, did it? It detailed another very specific warning aimed at just one company.
Yes, a single very large company, Apple.
And what was the threat against Apple, according to the Sky News piece?
A reported 25% tariff, specifically on its iPhones.
25% on iPhones. Was there a condition for Apple to avoid this one too?
Yes, very similar logic, just maybe even more stark. The condition reported was unless Apple moves all its manufacturing to the United States.
All manufacturing, not just some.
All its manufacturing is the phrase reported in the article. Again, that very direct link to location.
And where did this warning reportedly surface?
Same place as the EU threat, according to the article. Also posted on the Truth Social platform.
Did the article add any color about whether this was a new demand for Apple?
It included a reported statement from Trump saying he had, quote, long ago informed Tim Cook of Apple of this expectation.
So suggesting, according to the report, this wasn't the first time the idea had been raised with Apple's CEO.
That seems to be the implication presented in the article.
And the article also provided context on where iPhones are actually made now.
It did. It noted the primary locations currently are China and India. And it specifically brought in another report for background.
Oh, which report was that?
It mentioned a recent Financial Times report. Relevant because that FT report apparently detailed Apple's plans to expand its supply chain in India.
How so?
Through a key contractor, the Taiwanese company Foxconn, reportedly planning a new factory in the Indian state of Tamil Nadu.
So the Sky News article uses that detail to sort of illustrate Apple's current global manufacturing footprint, which provides context for this demand to move everything to the U.S.
Exactly. Sets up the scale of the demand being reported.
And the immediate market reaction for Apple itself. What did the article say about its shares?
It reported that Apple shares dropped over 2% in pre-market trading right after this specific warning came out.
Okay, so it's pretty clear from these examples, just based on this one article, that some specific pressures are being applied in trade policy.
Yeah.
Aimed at, well, both national stances and individual company decisions.
Yeah, definitely. You see these two distinct types of threats reported, one broad, one very company-specific, but both linked by this manufacturing location condition.
And connecting this back to you, the listener, why does this specific stuff reported in this one article matter? Well, these kinds of actions and the reactions they might cause, like retaliation or companies actually shifting production, they can really impact international business, right?
Absolutely. Supply chains, financial markets, the cost of goods eventually, it all connects.
These examples, drawn just from the Sky News piece, show how concretely and how quickly these policy moves can seemingly ripple through the markets.
They provide very specific reported instances of the mechanism and the immediate effect.
So let's just quickly recap the two main threats we've pulled out based only on the Sky News article. First, that reported 50% tariff threat on EU goods.
Right, linked to the state of trade talks. But crucially, with that condition, build it in the U.S., no tariff.
And second, the reported 25% tariff threat aimed squarely at Apple's iPhones.
Yeah, with an even stricter reported condition. Move all iPhone manufacturing to the U.S.
And just to reiterate, this deep dive was sourced entirely from that one Sky News article from May 23rd, 2025. We focused only on the reported facts, the context given, and the immediate reactions detailed within it.
Which leaves us with maybe a final thought for you to mull over, building on these specific examples reported in the article. When you see tariffs linked so directly, so drastically to where companies make things, what does this approach suggest? Is the reported goal here just about leverage in negotiations? Or does it point towards perhaps a potential future where tariffs are used more aggressively as a primary tool? A tool to actively try and compel corporations to fundamentally change their global manufacturing strategies. Something to consider as you see how these trade stories continue to unfold.
Definitely something to think about. And that's our deep dive for today.